Hey guys, as you can see, today's project is a little more stylized and surreal than usual. I found an artist called Creepy Duck Design who makes these concept posters, and this one just struck my eye. I thought it was really cool and right up my alley in terms of just what I enjoy. So I wanted to recreate it in miniature and have a lot of fun filming it with some different effects. I also thought this would fit right into the surreal world that I began to create with the piece a couple videos ago with the strange doors. I think I want to start creating this world. It's kind of like the wood between the worlds, maybe from Narnia, or some kind of in-between land. And I think this really just helped inspire me to explore that world some more. So I decided to give this one a shot. I'll link his socials in my description. So I 3D printed this skull, started piecing it together, and then I used some joint compound over the whole thing to give it a more even texture and to hide some of the layer lines from the printing process. After it started to dry a little bit, I made sure to go in with this brush and stipple some extra texture in. The cabin is actually going to be in 1/48 scale, so this is much smaller than I'm used to. I've never actually done one in this scale. So what I did was 3D model most of the cabin and printed it out. So I've primed it with a filling primer to hide some of the layer lines, and then I'm gluing the main parts together. I modeled it so that the bottom would be logs, and that's already done, but then this top piece and the back piece, I'm actually going to add balsa wood to make out the wood. There was quite a lot of tiny little pieces that I had to cut and angle correctly, so this took quite a while. I really love the added texture that you get from real wood, and so I like to use it when I can. So I wanted to make the skull a little bit stylized. I'm just going to start painting it, and then I made the teeth really nasty with this Citadel paint, and then I did a black wash and dry brushed it some. The cabin got primed and then painted this brown. I started adding a black wash in most of it as well to add some texture. And if you can see the little hole on the bottom of the back wall, that's for some electrical wires. I'm going to add a little bit of lighting inside. For the chimney, I decided to print this little piece just for the shape and then use cork to make a whole bunch of little bricks. That took quite a while and it looked pretty cool, but it was definitely hard at this scale. I painted a number of them, a couple different shades, and then I used tile grout to fill in the cracks. For the basic ground cover, I mixed up some tile grout, paint, and Mod Podge, spread that around, and let it dry. Then I decided to add a little bit of moss and stuff to the cabin. I'm going to add vines later as well, but this was just the beginning of getting it a little more lived in. For the roofing, I used these styrene roofing sheets. Just started painting them. I think I did a couple different shades and then a black wash, and I added those on with a small sheet of MDF backer. Next, I wanted to add some static grass, so I put down some Mod Podge and then took out my applicator and added a bunch of static grass just around where the cabin would be. Then I started to add a little bit of bushes and different things around the house. I know I'm going to cover this to make it look more overgrown with vines later, but this is just a starting point. Then I decided to glue in a couple small LED lights inside, like there's going to be a fire or a small light going. I'd like to think that in this world, this little cabin is probably not the best place you'd like to find yourself. There's probably all kinds of crazy fever dream kind of stuff happening inside. The kind of stuff that we see in horror movies, but over and over again until they finally figure out a way to escape. Now, I ran into my own version of torture here because I realized the scale between the cabin and the skull was just not what I wanted. The skull was way too small in relation, and so I built a whole new one using all of the same techniques, but just larger, and I think it worked really well. I also added a step where I put some clay around the edges of the skull so it wasn't such a hard, flat cutoff, and it made it more of an organic shape, and I think that really helped the look as well. Let me know in the comments what you think about this surreal world I'm creating and give me some ideas for what I could do next with it. I really appreciate all of the support from my patrons and everyone watching, and I can't wait to see you next time.